night alive. Inner circles here where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Podcast where hearts unite, sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle Podcast. Today is Tuesday, September 9. I can't believe I'm already saying that, September 9. So, welcome to another powerful episode. Tonight's topic is immigration at the crossroads, crackdown, and community impact. You know, this has been in the news for almost
Nice.
for a minute now, you know, and it's getting hot, you know. So tonight we are going to be discussing this here on this podcast because it is affecting human being, it is affecting our community. So especially where my man Peterson is from the winning city of Chicago. You know, things like that. So I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and I'm here with my co-host Miss B and Peterson. Miss B.
Good evening, y'all. You know, I was talking how it was raining. It's your girl, Miss B. And so Peterson had a comment, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Okay. And then Peterson from the windy city of Chicago, where it seems to be windy with ICE agents and National Guard coming to win all of those things. So welcome to another episode, bro.
Yeah, thank you both, and good evening to you guys and everybody listening. This is Peterson from the Windy City, and Ms. B is talking about rain up north, but for us, it's rainy, but it's not falling from the sky. It's coming from Washington, D.C. It's raining on us here, so
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So, folks, as a take, immigration at the crossroad right now, as I said, since this new administration took over, there's been some. I mean, that's what the campaign. I've said it many times on this platform. The campaign on it, but it seems like they are following through on the campaign promise. Just crack down and community impact. We're going to be discussing that tonight. You can contribute to the conversation by calling our number 952-594-5154 or putting a comment in the chat. This is a growing platform. We discuss these topics. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Twitter, X, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. So. Man, I don't know where to start, right? But as I said, since the administration came into being, there's been this escalations. Like every time you see, like there's been so many stories. The one in Georgia last week, the stuff about when they talk about crime in Washington D.C., right? It seems to be right when you dig deeper, it's not so much about crime, but it's it's immigration raids. So they are already following through everything they promise. And Peterson, right? Your city is one of the cities right now in the crosshair of this administration. As we speak, your governor has confirmed that there are ICE agent in the Chicago area already starting to do some raids. What's the impact there? With you guys, what's the information? How are things on the ground with you guys?
Yeah, so a lot of this shouldn't come as a surprise to a lot of people who voted against or didn't vote for the president or the current administration, because if somebody tells you who they are, believe them until they show you otherwise. But this is, like you said, this is where he campaigned on about the immigration. But a lot of people were thinking like, oh, he's not going to go that far. He's not going to go that far. And now everybody's like, wait, we didn't know you was going to go this far. Like you was going to take this route. But to your question, the whole place, like the Chicagoland area, including the suburbs, everybody's like on guard. So a lot of things have been canceled. We
Mm,
have
mm.
Mexican Independence Day celebrations that should have been coming up, I think, next month or later this month. They postponed it till November because they're thinking maybe those ice agents would be out of here by then, but it's been postponed until November. And a lot of people are just avoiding going to places. Like if you go into like a store that is predominantly, predominantly maybe Hispanic populated area, you will not find that many people in those places. So even in places of work and things like that, people are opting to either stay at home or call off and stay because now it's like, yeah, you don't know when they're going to come knocking at your door.
Well, I mean, first of all, right, I mean, just for full disclosure, right, put me in the camp of those who thought that it wasn't going to be like this, right? Put me in that camp because I'm a Republican. I voted for my, I voted for my, but I didn't think, right, that I didn't think it was going to. I thought it was going to be some immigration stuff, but I didn't think it was going to be the last scale race, right? This whole emphasis, like on immigration, continuously, right? I mean, race after race, from Los Angeles, as a Washington D.C., Chicago, and there's so many other stories going on. I think even unreported, right? Is that people are getting grabbed up the street and stuff like that, right? I voted meaning like for the economic issue, right? I mean the tax code and all the other stuff. I didn't know that this whole immigration rate thing was going to be this deep and this large. So put me in that camp, right? Right, that kind of stuff. But for it to be like this, though, right, impacting communities. So your point, right, I mean, you hear stories like folks are not going to work. They're afraid to go out. In a lot of immigrant communities, like even what happened in Georgia, is creating like fears in the Korean community. It's big though. It's like, I mean, is this? I don't understand it. I mean, before we went live, I told Peterson I don't really understand the logic or what's the end goal here, right? Is that what is it going to achieve at the end of the day?
I mean, not to get into who you voted for and who's in office, but let's just look at, let's just say, regardless of the person or character, you were just looking at the policies, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think when somebody says they're going to do mass deportation of people in this country? I mean, what did you guys envision that was going to look like? Did you now conclude we were going to be taking more vacations in Hawaii because all of a sudden now our pockets are that much fatter? Our economy is booming. I mean, the streets are all lit up and they're sparkling with gold. Like, was that what we thought the result was going to be and the outcome was going to be?
Okay, here's the thing though. I can answer that question, right? I voted for the Gator it. I go there for the goodie or whatever age you were promised, right? That's what I voted for, right? I voted for the economic policy. That's what I voted for. But here's the thing though, right? I think, right, my thought process was, right, immigrants, right? If you travel, I've said it many times on this platform, but when you travel, right, most of the jobs in healthcare, hotels, and stuff like that, there are immigrants who are doing these jobs. So even we learn from the Georgia raid, those were high tech jobs that you hardly find typical American doing those jobs. So I thought the business community was going to prevail, that there was no way there's going to be mass immigration raids and deportation. So to answer your question, I didn't think. I just thought it was a bluster. And sometimes it happened. He says things sometimes that he doesn't do. So I thought it was one of those cases like, man, he's not really going to go through that. I mean, because the business community would definitely prevail on him not to go that route because, as you can see, it is affecting the hospitality industry, it is affecting the agricultural industry, it is affecting the manufacturing industry. And at the end of the day, right, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, why is so much this aggressive enforcement? So just to answer the question there.
Because I always try to think root cause. That's some of the habits I have working in nonprofit. You're
Hmm.
always trying to think root cause, or if it's this, what is the agenda behind it? And I don't take policies for face value. Like, um, I don't accept policies for face value because I realize that having been in this industry, the political industry, working in government and all these different aspects of my job, I realize that you cannot take things at face value. There's always going to be something else behind it, some other agenda behind it. And the thing that's really in front of us is the low hanging fruit, to be honest, right? And the whole idea of the mass incarceration is really the low hanging fruit. It's the bigger agenda.
What is the low hanging fruit? What is the bigger agenda?
The bigger agenda is just think about, okay, this is where the strongest prevail. If your entities, we're talking about our smaller corporations who you would depending on, which smaller business are the bulk of our GDP, but you are depending on these smaller giants, little people, to prevail against this bigger picture of the strongest of businesses will be left standing. And that means why? That means, like, if I'm Amazon, just think of our big, our top 10 entities, right? If I get rid of all the little people, then I'm the one now still standing because I have the infrastructure, I have the wherewithal to continue to afford a labor force. Whereas these little people are depending on immigrants for their labor force. And therefore, you're going to get them out of the market. You're going to limit competition. That's all it comes down to, is who of the strongest of capitalists will continue to stand. Like right now, who is being impacted by this labor force? The smaller mom and pop shops. Look all around you every day. I'm seeing gas stations are closing. I'm seeing our local restaurants are closing. I'm seeing our local grocery stores are closing. It's only going to be the people who can withstand what is happening to our labor force right now will continue to stand. And therefore, there's going to exacerbate pricing. They're going to exasperate inflation. And all of these things, now only a small amount of people are playing in the market. That's what ultimately happens.
Well, I mean, it's like your economic argument you're making there, Ms. B. I mean, respectfully to disagree with you, right? That doesn't hold water because yes, it's not only going to affect moms and pops. It's going to affect everyone, as you can see, as I said, right? I keep referencing the Georgia raid, right? It's like, I mean, that was a Hyundai. I mean, that was a Hyundai plan. So, but it's going to have a ripple effect from the economic aspect of it. It's going to have a ripple effect throughout the economy because number one is like, okay, right now in Chicago, folks are afraid, to your point, right, to go to school, right? It's like, to go to work. It's going to affect companies. It's going to affect everyone. Not only even so to those Americans who maybe like to those who thought, I mean, there's some of us who thought like this. I mean, this wasn't going to happen. Now you're thinking like, man. For me, I'm thinking like, why? You know what I mean? So the tourism Ms. B is giving here, I don't think that can hold water because it's going to affect everyone.
It's holding water already because from January to now, it's getting worse and worse. It's holding water.
That's what I'm saying. So if it continues on this trend, it's going to affect the larger economy, not only moms and pops.
Yes. So
to some extent, that bigger economy, they have gobbled up so much wealth, they're not going to feel it. They're not.
How are they not going to feel it? Where are they going? Okay, where's Amazon going to get the workers from though?
What?
Where is Amazon going to get the workers from?
Amazon is not depending on immigrant workers. Amazon is depending on
where are they depending
American citizens. They're not depending on immigrant workers. They're not. Amazon is not. Amazon is not.
Okay.
I trust and believe Amazon is mostly employing citizens. They're not depending on the undocumented folks that are supposed to be taken away by ICE. And here's the thing. The reason why it's not going to just be the undocumented folks, because the raid in Georgia is an example, right? 475 people, right? What happens is regular citizens are getting lost in the mix because to the extent where the recent Supreme Court was holding of the enforcement where it says that now ICE can just say, I see Peterson, he looks like an immigrant, I'm going to take him. That's what we have officially legalized recently this week. We're saying, and they're saying, historically, we've always done immigration like that. We've always done ICE enforcement like that. We always see Abraham looks like an immigrant, we're going to take him in. They said historically that's how it's always been done. It's because now it's in the mainstream face, right? So immigration, deportation, all these things, it's nothing new, right? It's just the quantity in which it is happening, that is the newness to it. And the amount of how we see it play out on a daily basis is what's happening to us. So therefore, this is a long-term plan, strategic plan that at some point the economy will be impacted, but to an extent we're rooting out things that we don't want. We want more control over our residents, more control over our citizens. You're going to cause scarcity. All of these things are intentional, and those the strongest of the fittest will be standing.
Okay, Peterson, do you buy that though? I don't
No,
buy it.
so my point to Ms. B's argument is, I mean, the whole thing is counterintuitive, because if you think about it, it's not just, she said, yeah, the moms and pops shops would be the ones mainly affected, but like you said, it's going to go down, even the big giants themselves. So if Amazon is employing, let's use Amazon for example, if they are employing majority citizens, those citizens are not the ones picking the orders in those warehouses. They are the ones probably on the road driving to deliver your packages. But now, if they don't have workers in those warehouses to pick the orders, then the typical citizens are going to be like, I'm going to go work 8 hours in that warehouse and be picking orders. And because there are certain jobs that no matter how much they pay, the typical American citizen, it will be like, I don't want to do that job. If you go into like the hotels, like to Abe's point earlier about people that are like housekeeping and stuff, even if you go to a Marriott, you go to like the big chain hotels, you're not going, the manager would probably be a citizen. The manager of whatever housekeeping or concierge, they will be a citizen, but the people working in the background, they are definitely not. So if all of them are out of that place, now if the hotel charges from $200 per night, now is $1,000 per night, will be like, I don't want to pay that. It doesn't matter how much money they've made over the years, it's going to have an effect on them, because they're going to lose a lot of business.
And right now, we're into that point where even businesses have started speaking up, right? Businesses have started speaking up, right? The Wall Street Journal, right? The leading economic publisher, you know what I mean, economic magazine in this country, you know, they wrote an editorial that did this, to your point, Peterson, that this is so counterintuitive to the economy. How is this going to help the economy? It's not, right? Bigger companies are going to suffer. But I mean, to your point, right, Ms. B, though, right, is that if you look at it, I mean, the enforcement versus all the humanity piece, to me, like, I mean, let's get away from the economy for a minute, right? Just the humanity piece of it, right? I mean, before we come on air, I told Peterson, right, there was a story about this guy, you know, who's been here since 1988. You know, back then, you know, he saw some, you know, weed. That's something everybody do. You know, we all have done something yeah, and there, you know. Yeah, he saw some weed and got into trouble, right? Back then, he got into trouble, right? He got into trouble, and then, you know, he reformed his life. You know, he have his family, he has his kids and stuff like that. But, you know, that stuff stuck on his record, and he was not able to get his citizenship. His son was performing here in Minneapolis, you know, a couple of weeks ago or something like that, and ICE came and pick him up, you know, send him to a detention center, you know, and then they ship him to another detention center. So it's like that is having real human impact. It is having human impact. You know what I mean? So it's like, because when it first started, it was saying like, oh, it was just about, you know, hardcore criminals. But make that make sense to me, someone who did something like 50, you know, 30 years ago. You know, I mean, they have reformed their life. How's that person like a hardcore criminal that you want to get him up and you want to get him up the street? You know, so this is having real human impact. So I don't think there's a bigger agenda here. I feel like they don't even know what they are. I don't think the administration know what they are doing, Ms. B.
I'm so shocked to be hearing the things that are coming out of Abraham's mouth tonight. Like,
no, there is. I'm talking
that's why maybe everybody shouldn't be allowed to vote, right? Because what do you use to vote with? Like, what do you vote with?
I always vote. I always vote for my pocket when it comes. As I said, I vote when it comes.
And here it is. You want to talk about the humanitarian part behind it, right? Okay. Oh, your pocket. Your pocket has no humanitarian to it, right? Your
Oh,
money is not about about the humanitarianism in society. Your money could care less, right? Your money is focused on the capitalism aspects of our country, of our society. We live in a capitalist society, and people who believe in this capitalism, you get upset when people want to bring other things into the mix, right? Then you want to start calling us socialists, and you guys are talking about socialism and all these things, but we're really just talking about being humans, right? We're talking about being humans and loving our neighbors, loving our brothers and our sister, and seeing everybody as your
okay. Okay, I mean, it's like I mean, she was saying that like seeing everyone as your neighbor, right? The whole humanity piece. Or Peterson, no, right? Okay, go ahead. You back, Miss B. Go ahead.
the idea that at any time you will vote for a policy that wants to root people out from where they've been for a long time, a group of people that from where they've been for a long time, they've been here, and all this data shows that they are not criminals, they're law-abiding citizens, residents, even though if they're not American citizens, they're law-abiding residents. They're adding to our GDP, they're helping our economy. I mean, there is more pros for immigrants, undocumented immigrants being in this country than there are cons. But yet and still, just the idea that somebody is undocumented, you connect that with a criminal behavior, and therefore you're okay with them being targeted, not understanding that they're you will be impacted. You are impacted. If something happens to Peterson, you're impacted. If something happens to me, you're going to be impacted. That's just how humanitarian works.
Okay. I mean, the other thing, like you brought up with the Supreme Court, right? I think when ICE agents went to Los Angeles, they started this way, right? They were just waiting. Anyone who looked like a Mexican, they were just grabbing them up the street. just, they were just grabbing them up the street. So the city, I think the city of Los Angeles or the state of California sued. They said, no, you can't do that, right? So the lower court, sided with California, but then the Supreme Court came, no, they say, hey, that's legal, right? I mean, let them do it. Now, though, what implication is that going to have on the immigrant community? I think that when I read it, I said, oh, wow. So because, I mean, I've been here for a long time, but I have kept my accent intentionally, right? I love this country, I mean, stuff like that, but I kept my accent intentionally. So if your ICE agent come and grab me up the street because of my accent, that doesn't make sense to me, Peterson. That's just bunch of BS.
It is a bunch of BS because how can you tell somebody by just looking at somebody that they are immigrant because they're not blonde, blue eyes? I mean, even that's not a indication that oh yeah somebody is a citizen. So you've been saying with the whole policy that they don't really know like what they're doing because whatever comes to mind, like, hey, let's just do it like this today, and then tomorrow we'll do it another way. There's no standard to say, okay, this is how we're going to conduct this race. I mean, there's been deportations in the past. Every administration have had like massive, if you want to call it massive deportation, but is weeding out people who are like hardcore criminals who have been in the system, and most times they would take them from prison and then deport them. But where this administration is going, where they just in like the typical American city streets and just grabbing people and who are going about their business, and like Ms. B said, people who are contributing to this economy, because without the immigrant labor force in this country, America would not be like the greatest country on the planet as is claimed every day. And I was telling my brother the other day, I'm like, can you guess how many millionaires are in the US? And he's like, how many? I'm like, he's like 400,000. I'm like, no, add another 23 million to that. 23.8 million millionaires in the US. And they didn't make those money just from like citizens. Is majority of that comes from the immigrant workforce because they are contributing massively to this economy. So with them just going into streets and grabbing people, you don't know. It's like, what are they doing? They themselves don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, folks,
Yes.
tonight we are discussing immigration at the crossroad, right? Crackdowns and the community impact, the impact it's having in local communities. You know, it's like it seems to be spreading. It's not only going to stop in Los Angeles or Washington D.C. or Chicago. It seems to be something that might, spread all over this country. I don't know what the end goal is going to be, but we here at Inner Cycle Podcast creating an awareness to this. Right? Wherever if you are immigrant, I think you should be aware of this. Right? This coming is happening everywhere, whether you are U.S. citizen, you are immigrant, you are U.S. citizen, you are green card holder, you should be concerned because no one know what this is going to lead. So you can contribute to this conversation tonight by either calling our number 952-594-5154 or putting a comment in the chat. But let's look at the local impact, right? It's like you have federal agents coming into these local jurisdictions just grabbing folks left and right, because sometimes, like as you said, Peterson, to your point, for it used to be there was someone who created a crime, maybe he went through the court system and then he was locked up. And then they realized, hey, he needs to get deported or someone across the border. They had an asylum case. And then like the judge determined that, hey, your case is not legit. And so like ICE can grab you and deport you. Even then, maybe you have to commit a crime. It's always been happening, right? It's like deportation and immigration stuff has always been happening. As a matter of fact, the Obama administration has one of the largest deportation ever. I mean, on record. But this whole thing about coming into local community, right? Sending ICE agents. Sometimes they said they're not even identified, right? You don't even know who is who, right? But coming into these local communities, just grabbing folks, Ms. B is like it's creating real fear in these local communities. And I don't know how's that even fitting in with like I think we need to bring maybe one of these police chiefs on here back here again, right? How they even how they even trying to figure all this stuff out?
I mean, to be honest, it's just another way to decimate urban communities again. Again, we don't think about the underlining impact, right? Immigrant communities are urban communities, and these
Mhm.
communities are thriving off of the fact that you have the most hardworking people are living in the urban core, right? Again, they're the ones who are going to do the jobs that the average middle class person does not care for. And it's these middle class conservative folks that really supported um, this administration, right? Thinking about their pockets, thinking about safety, thinking about religion, not thinking about how it impacts you now that, Eduardo, who's been working, living in your community, been taking care of his family, you've been seeing them thriving every day, but he gets deported. Now this mother has to lose their home. They may end up homeless. That income is lost. Now you guys complain about this welfare system that you want to get rid of, but where most likely that income loss, where are they going to go get that support to supplement their income? Now they're tapping into our medical system. Now they're tapping into our food system. They're going to be needing more food shelf support. The most people who are being overwhelmed right now more than ever than even COVID. During the pandemic, we had people were more secure in their homes in a pandemic, in their homes. We almost ended famine here in this country during the pandemic versus now during
Okay. Versus now, what's going on
these
versus now?
immigration times, right? We're
Okay.
overwhelmed. A lot of nonprofit organizations cannot handle the large amount of people that are depending on these resources. This is what it looks like to me when I see people being detained. This is the economic impact that I'm thinking about, how families are losing these incomes and where are they going to end up.
Obviously, right, it is having real economic impact to your point, right? So even the agriculture industry. And that's what I'm saying. There will come a time. I expected the business community. I expect the business community. I mean, to have what maybe like say, hey man, don't do this earlier. But now they are coming up. Right? The agriculture industry is already having impact on the agriculture industry, right? Because they are just going on these farms, just raiding folks left and right. There's no workers, right? It's like folks are not even those that are those that are working on those farms are not even showing up for work, right? There was a report in the Wall Street Journal again that the highest amount of absences in almost how many years? I think since 2006 or some, almost 20 years. Folks are calling in the highest amount of absences.
Mm-hmm.
Companies are experiencing the highest amount of absences. So again, I come back to the same point. What is really the end goal of this? We just look at the economic impact, because some of us voted for what, that golden age coming back, right? America is prosperous,
No.
everything is well. Now you see PSC is like, man, not much has changed, right? Especially this year, right? It's like maybe prices are still stuck, prices are still high. Now it's like our community is being impacted left and right. Folks are being raided here and there. Now you have these tariffs. So I feel like the administration is just all over the place. There's no focus on the economic issues. Some of us, thought that was going to be, well, you know what I mean, and things like that. There's no
Well, what
focus.
policies? Give me one policy he told you was going to give that impact that you just spoke about, that positive
I,
impact that you just thought about.
like the tax cut, right? Let me tell you. Here's the thing, right? The tax cut,
At a drop of a plane.
The big beautiful place.
the big beautiful bill, right? That big beautiful bill. If you're just going to focus on the economy will be booming by now, right? But it seems
What is
like,
in there that makes you feel that way?
oh, Miss
Please tell
B,
me.
the tax cut. You know what I mean? For
Tax
me,
cuts for who?
I don't like to pay taxes. For all of us,
You
all
keep
of
saying
us.
all of it. I read that thing. Nowhere does it say my
Right
low
now,
six figure self is going to
there's no
benefit.
tax on tips, Miss B. If you work in an industry with tips, there's no tax on tips. How's that?
Who records that? Like who reports my tips? Who
Oh,
reports,
easy who
who
reports your
reports
tip.
my
So
tips?
hey, as I said, if we were just going to focus on that aspect of it, I think we'll be good. But the
Look at
whole thing
that.
about the
Something
immigration
that's
factor,
that's arbitrary as tips. You were excited about that.
yeah, no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, and most.
No, certain overtime, not all overtime.
Oh,
Seriously,
now,
Half
such
of the working
arbitrary, yeah, such arbitrary things. Which nobody is giving overtime right now.
yeah.
Nobody's doing overtime.
who
Overtime
told
only
you? No,
happens
no,
if
that
you're working
you
for
don't
four
have
different.
workers. So folks, they are actually giving overtime because, like, I mean, there's gonna be worker shortage eventually, though, right? With the way things are going.
Things will be bad because, and the impact is not going to take a long time to show. It's already showing now, and some of these numbers that are coming about the social economic effects of this largest petition is as soon as 2028, where
Mm.
Texas is going to be struggling. States about to lose large amounts of their GDP. It's not going to take a long time for us to see this economic impact, right? We're talking in the next 2 years, right? That we're going to do decades of wealth that was grown will be lost in a matter of 2 years. So I don't
Okay.
understand what y'all was voting for exactly. I really don't.
Well, you won't understand that because you're progressive and you're liberal, so you won't understand when we are
It's,
when we are, when we are talking when we are
this is
talking
not
money
impacting
issue. All
you,
I
I
want to
guess.
do, I just want to divide the money to other people, and so you won't understand that. But we know what we voted for. But Peter said, though,
Yes.
it's like, what can we as immigrants, especially those of us that are legal here, that are legal here, what can, because it seems like we
Y'all
shouldn't
the
sit,
problem. Y'all legal immigrants are the
we
problem.
shouldn't sit on the sideline. We shouldn't sit on the sideline. This thing, sometimes like something might be creeping up on you, and you just feel that, oh, that doesn't affect me, right? But and a lot of the immigrant community, right? Even some of the news articles I've read, sometimes we listen to, even the Latino community, they are stunned, right? It's like it just they are stunned. It's a bear. No one, like folks in Florida, she talked about Texas. Folks are stunned. They say, "Whoa,
The meanwhile,
really?
Latino
Yeah,
Texans and
how
Floridians.
did
Yeah,
how do we? I mean, how do we miss this?
46% of you guys voted for this man. I don't understand why you shocked.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I said from the beginning. Like a lot of people are acting so surprised, like, "Oh, we didn't know this was going to happen." So, I mean, at this time in this country, I don't know if there's a lot that immigrants can do, whether you are a citizen or a legal resident, because now with the administration, their focus is everywhere. They don't know who to go after. Like we discussed earlier, if you look certain way, like, hey, okay, we're gonna go after you, and they don't ask you, are you a citizen? That's not a question that is they ask first. So
No,
it's
don't
based
even
on
ask.
how you look, how you sound. So with that, I think the immigrant community, if you come out against like this policy, you are drawing more attention to yourself, and you're going to actually get yourself into more trouble. But even with that, it doesn't mean that we should like stay quiet or sit on the sidelines and watch like injustice happen, because this what's happening now is it's like something that even the like you said, the conservatives or whoever, they didn't think it was going to go this far. They just thought like, oh, okay, maybe he was going to go after certain criminals or people who have committed certain crimes, not even all criminals. But where it is now is something that uh, those who represent the immigrant populations, they need to come out and actually like show up for them. This is the time now to like actually show that representation. Like, okay, well, this is my community. At my company where I work, the CEO, she was there a few weeks ago. And it's one of the questions people ask, like, with all this uncertainty about like immigration going into workplaces and things like that, and the whole DEI thing, how is she like planning to handle all of those? And she said, like, she assured everybody, like, okay, this is what was planned before this whole like immigration and all these policies came into place. So we're going to continue on that course. Like, we're not cutting people just because they say, oh, yeah. But at the same time, we're not going to like give positions to people just because of how they look or where they come from. You have to be qualified. So it doesn't matter uh, where you come from or who you are. If you're qualified for that position, you are going to get it regardless. So it's something that people who are in leadership, they need to come out and actually assure their residents and constituents, like, okay, we'll stand by you guys. We'll stand by you and make sure that, I mean, they cannot stop federal agents, but at the same time, if they come out and say something, because this is, I think that's what have delayed like the National Guard coming into Chicago, because I so a couple of weeks ago we thought the National Guard would be here in Chicago now, but everybody's been coming out like to peacefully voice their opposition against it.
So don't you think though, right? I mean, you saying like, oh yeah, because the administration is not focused, or maybe that they are just grabbing folks off the street because of their accent, or because of how they look. So the immigrant community should just face that fear. We shouldn't really do anything about it. We should just sit in our corners and just not do
No,
nothing.
that's what I'm
Because
saying. It was
you-
too. I said, yeah, because if you come out with the blowhorn, you're gonna draw attention to yourself. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we should like cower away and be hiding. No, that's not what I say. We should still like come out like along with leadership, those
Mhm.
who represent us, and this is the time to have that conversation with people in power to say, okay, we have these people in our neighborhoods, in our community, who they are law-abiding citizens. We don't know their record, but if you are going after somebody, it should be those that are like in the system who have,
Mhm.
like I said, have committed some crime and they are serving time, not because the person committed a crime 30, 40 years ago. Now you go after them.
Yeah, I mean, and Miss B want to blame us, for some of us who voted for our podcast. It's like political messaging, right? That's why sometimes like I talked to Ruth Bidner, who's running for District 34B last week, right? I mean, she and I talk about trust in government and in public institutions. One of the thing I brought up is that folks I love trust in government, because when politicians are running, they tell you X, Y, and Z. Even during the campaign, but also immigration stuff, it was about hardcore criminals. Now it's expanding to every community, to everyone. Now it's like even like to the point where in like immigration agents can stop you because of your accent or can weigh you because the way you look. So that right there, right, it will create a distrust, right? The political messages was different versus what's being implemented. So it's like, going forward, I mean, is this meant to create a larger fear in the society, Miss B? I mean, some of you guys that are out there in in this nonprofit space, having some chatters out there. I mean, what's going on here?
I know Abraham is really concerned about this accent thing. So
Yeah,
I
because I have an
suggest,
accent, right? I have kept my accent intentionally,
I
for all these
suggest you
years.
start
So I don't.
working on it, bro. No,
Nah, I
I
ain't gonna
mean,
work on that.
honestly, especially with the recent school shooting, I think more than ever now, immigrant communities are are scared, right? We've always talked about, the BIPOC community and their ability to remain resilient. But it's 2025, right? And we're dealing with civil rights issues times four in 2025, right? And so people are genuinely scared. And our community right now is always asking themselves, what can we do? How do we be more vocal? How do we be more active? How do we be more proactive? What can we do? I feel like not everyone it hasn't touched the Black community in a way yet. And so and it's unfortunate, but that community is at this place where we're resting, because it feels like we're always trying to save ourselves, and in saving ourselves we're trying to save other people. But unfortunately, it may take the Black community to come in and help to provide that voice, because if folks who are the direct impact are scared and they're staying indoors and they're shutting their doors right now, who else can be more vocal for them and stepping to the plate right now but the Black community? The Black community is not scared of ICE. They're not scared of being deported at this time, and so therefore their voice is really needed in this at this time, to be pushing some political policies and issues and agenda to kind of and try and rectify what is happening right now. But that community is resting. They're being silent. And so that is concerning to me. It is.
I mean, African Americans, right, is like kudos to them, right? The one that rest fine. But our Latinos brothers and sisters are going through some hell. I say if you read some of these news stories, folks from Cuba, folks from Venezuela, folks from Mexico, even to the point where Peterson, right, even because the attention has been paid to your city, the last few days, right? It's like you guys were planning some huge festivals. I think this month is Mexico. It's Mexico Independence Month or something. So there's some huge festivals, right? Sometimes that you guys invite some of these huge, the big artists from Latin America or from Mexico. But even man, the band denied them visa left and right, and so they were the whole, the whole immigration thing. I said to your point earlier, man, I said the administration is just they go all angles on different, different ways. But the Latino community is really, really being impacted right now. They are really going after them, and it's creating some serious fear in those communities, from Texas to Florida to Georgia. I mean, Chicago. I didn't even know Chicago had a huge Hispanic population
Oh yeah.
until now. I'm saying, like, so it's creating huge fears. How can we, when we talk about allyship, though, right? This is where I think allyship comes in. How we can, man.
Yes.
That is. I don't know about you, but I love some of my Mexican food, right? Chipotle or Qdoba, all those
It's
stuff.
not even authentic.
Oh, is that authentic? Okay. Okay. Got you on that, right? But how can we be your ally, Peter, in these moments? Because these folks are afraid. A serious fear in those communities.
Yeah. So to add to what Ms. B was saying, uh, at this time, during this like difficult time, since the Black community or Black population, we've always had like one struggle after another. Now that this is not directly impacting the Black community, is we know how to handle these things. So I think to your point about being allies and partners, is the time now to come like to your point about the festivities or the festivals being either canceled or postponed, like the Independence Day, the Mexican Independence Day is supposed to be, I think, either this weekend or next week. But here in the Chicago area, some places cancel completely, and others, I think the city at large, they postpone till November, and other festivals. So I think is incumbent on like those that are not directly impacted, the Black community, to come along and say, okay, although this is Mexican Independence Day or whatever festival or gathering, and people are afraid to come out, we are going to have something, but then invite them to come out. I mean, if we plan like some African American thing, yes, ICE agents might show up, but they are not coming there to say, "Oh, okay, these we're going to take these Black people. Where are we going to send them?" and stuff like that. So, if they come out, or if we have something and then invite our neighbors, our Mexican neighbors, is another way of still honoring them and having something to honor their independence, instead of just letting it go, because this is tradition that's like gone on for years and years and years. For them to just like cancel or postpone because of what's going on is really bad, and like you say, it's impacting like a lot of people. When we think about like Latin America, the closest one is Mexico, but it goes
Mhm.
all the way south, out of almost out of South America, except for like Brazil. So people from there, they are all impacted by what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, to your point earlier, right, where they will send us, they've been sending right now the administration has said they're all over the place, right? They can grab you and send you to Ecuador, send you to Rwanda, send you to South Sudan,
Yeah.
so don't underestimate them. So to your point, what do we send you? Well, they know where to send you, right?
I tell
Because
you,
they have
Uganda.
okay,
Yeah.
you got that all over the place. So the whole immigration piece, and I think, and that's why tonight, right on this podcast or on this platform, we brought this topic because it is getting scarier eh, by the day, right? It is getting scarier by the day. It is getting, even though the mainstream media to me is not really ready. We'll talk about, things here and there, maybe about Supreme Court decision or about that huge raid that happened in Georgia with the South Koreans and stuff like that. The way, you hear that in the news, but there's so many other local stories that's not even being reported.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that's not even being reported because like it feels like it's been normalized. The whole ice race, right? Is like it's been normalized. It's like they are coming up, they are coming now. If you even have an immigration appointment, folks are telling folks don't go, do not. If you have maybe like if you have a case pending with with ICE or with immigration, don't show up, right? And things like that because who knows? You might not see the light of day. You might find yourself either in Uganda or or somewhere in Ecuador or somewhere in South Sudan. So it's a real issue. It is a real issue, and it's having a real ripple effect throughout the country. So I mean, there's not something the immigrant community should just sit and watch, right? We all need to be in solidarity with one another, especially the immigrant community, whether you're black or white, whether you're black or brown or whatever. We really need to be in solidarity with each other. At least creating that awareness. We shouldn't just sit. We need to start creating that awareness. Hey, that is happening. What can we do? I know, Peterson, to your point, there's not much we can do because we don't want to call attention to ourselves. But I don't think we should just sit and just watch this
Right.
thing. I don't
No.
think we should do. I don't think we should do that because it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I'm not gonna just sit and watch. I'm gonna do what I can do, whatever issues, whoever ears I can get into. But back to Chicago, you guys have a pretty large Latino population. Over 800,000 people in Chicago, Illinois is Latino. That's huge, right? And 11 cities that have the most Hispanics. New York is number one. Los Angeles, Houston, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, Phoenix, Arizona, Dallas, Texas. I was like, Texas has the most, if you think about, and they're giving cities. I think as far as a state, maybe Texas has the most, and of course, obviously so, right? Um, and therefore, they should be thinking about the economic impact that this is going to have on the South, right? I know they're the ones who largely are in support of this wall and cracking down on immigration, but it's going to have a large economic impact. I mean, there's this North versus South thing. And this is some of the, just getting back to some of the root things that I think, or, the larger, deeper diving things that are going to happen, right? The South will struggle, the North will be doing fine. I don't know. It's just a lot of things that this is going to have in the long term effect sooner rather than later too, that we should be thinking about.
Because real quick, right? What are local officials in Chicago and the suburbs there, telling you guys, right? Because that's where the really have real emphasis. You guys have been in the news for a minute now. I mean, what are local officials? I know your governor and the mayor of Chicago has been very, very vocal. Well, like, has like life like? Because I can imagine, right? Maybe like, I mean, Miss B and I live in Minneapolis area here, right? Having like, Minneapolis being in the news about ICE agents coming the way, right? That would create real fear. So, what are local officials or how are folks reacting to that?
Yeah, so there is fear, but at the same time, uh, like we said, people are not waiting in this on the sidelines. They are not just sitting with their hands down. So, not this weekend. I think a couple weekends ago, uh, I was going to the store to get something, and it was a Saturday morning. So,
Hmm.
like around 8 or 9 o'clock, and I was going to get either milk for the kids or something. And then in one of the store parking lots, I see a lot of cars. So I'm like, wait, are they having like a car show or something? And then a block from there, I got to the main like street, and there were people everywhere protesting. So it's not something that I was aware of, but afterwards I found out that it was on the news that the local mayor and other people, they were aware of it, that this is something that they have planned. So there was police there to make sure that people are protesting peacefully and they're not being harmed or harassed and things like that. So the local leadership, they are telling their people like, yes, we know there is fear, but at the same time, what you can do, like the power we have in this country is protests and demonstrations. As long as it's like peaceful, it can. I mean, uh, the government, the federal government, they might not listen to it. It's not like they're not hearing it, but at the same time, if you keep beating that drum, they will they would think twice. I mean, like I said, this is probably one of the reasons that the National Guard have been delayed in coming,
Hmm.
and we're not too sure if they're even going to come. So now the whole thing surrounding the National Guard is been their language have been softening a little bit because a couple of weeks ago it's like, yeah, we're coming in, National Guard's coming in, and then to the vice president like, oh, we're not sure if we are going to deploy National Guards, and now you don't really hear about the threat like, yeah, we have a time that the National Guard is coming out and things like that. But so the local leaders, they are telling folks like, yes, we know there's fear and there's you have good reason to have fear, but at the same time you can go hiding or sitting on the sidelines. So yeah, there have been protests all over the city, in the suburbs, but just peaceful protests. So at those protests, I haven't heard of anybody getting taken or arrested and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Thanks for
Praise
providing
God.
that yeah, thanks for providing that local context, right? Because something here in the news, though, right? For the other thing, I will come to, right. We live in an age of, influencers, and I know you got immigrant influencers, right? But when you go on social media, you don't even hear anything about the whole crackdown going on, and that's where sometimes some of these conversations. I think that's where some of these conversation needs to be happening, right? Because it will create like I don't think our kids even know about, most of us immigrants have families, and except those that are being impacted. But when you go, Miss B, though, like, we live in an age of influencers, but you don't see this playing out on social media anywhere,
Anytime,
right?
It
Hmm?
depends who you're following. I mean,
Oh, okay.
your algorithm gives you what you're concerned about. And so I do
Oh,
see
okay.
it
Okay.
show up on my feed, and
Okay.
definitely know that the young folks on TikTok
Mm,
are talking about this.
okay.
They're staying up to date. We talked about it yesterday. My daughter gets all her news from TikTok, and sometimes
Yep.
she's more abreast with things than I am because I
Hmm.
don't watch the news, I don't listen to news. If
Hmm.
it comes across my feed, then yes. But she's able to tell me about raids and things that are happening and the fears that are happening in school, right?
Hmm.
Parents,
Hmm.
don't
Hmm.
forget about your kids. Start having those conversations with those kids because you know, um, a couple years ago, Stacia noticed when there wasn't a particular student in her school anymore, and she was able to ask questions and look into why that student wasn't in her school. So the kids are going to be having conversations. They're going to be talking to each other. They're getting information from each other, and they're getting information from their social media. So parents, be happy, open to having those conversations with your kids.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. I mean, you brought a whole school angle, right? Because there's a whole thing, especially in like places like Chicago, Washington D.C., where these ways are happening, right? Your parents might go to work, and they might not show up, right? I mean, you
Yep.
might be a citizen, and then now to your point earlier, Miss B, that created a whole nother dynamic, a whole nother situation. But I mean, schools are back in session. you know, I can't even imagine where how a school districts where again Peterson will rely on you on this because Chicago has been in the spotlight for a minute. How a school district, even that your kids go to school, how are they even dealing with what are schools telling these kids?
Yep.
In this kind of an environment, right? I mean, a city with a huge Latino population. What are schools even telling these kids?
Yep.
Yes. So I think since the Chicago school system, public school system, this year they open earlier than usual. Usually
Hmm.
it's the day after Labor Day. Everybody go to school, but this year they open like the third week of August. But it was on even NPR that because of the threats of federal agents coming in and all these things going on, like the first week and a half of school, some teachers like basically the parents will call in and say, "I'm not sending my child to school. They're not. Yeah, my child is not going to come to school, so they're gonna stay home." And you know how if your child misses like certain number of
Hmm.
days, they're
Hmm.
gonna
Hmm.
start calling. So at the same time, even though they have fear of their kids going to school, now you don't want that to like to my point earlier about bringing attention to yourself. Like, hey, okay,
Yeah.
well, this person they've kept their child out of school for so long, maybe because they are undocumented or something. Then it raises another question. So yeah, there was a lot of fear of people like going to school before, and even now it probably is a lot more fear of them going to school because people don't want to be seen in like public places like stores and places of work and things like that. But yeah, the whole city is there's still a calm to it, but there's just a lot of massive fear in people.
The other thing though, right, is like I know I talk about how there's a huge huge absences of workers, right? It's like the highest in almost, 20 years, right? Folks are calling in, and it's all due to this immigration rate, right? The other thing too, you're going to see, Peterson, to your point there earlier, is like these kids or their parents are going to be calling in, but it becomes something of a catch-22 because to your point, if you call in, and the teacher, the school district or your school is going to be calling you, it's okay, why is this child not in school? Who
Is it
knows,
coming to
right?
your house?
So it becomes a
Transportation services coming to your house.
yeah, it becomes a catch-22. So it's like those
Yeah.
whole things may have a larger impact, right? Mental health, just the trauma, the whole 9 yard and things like that, right? But the other thing too, you notice when you talk to the other people, right? I mean, you talk to Caucasian folks, some of them have they are still stuck in that narrative that this whole thing they are only going after hardcore criminals. So it's like they're only, but that's not the case though. If you dig deeper, it's not the case. They're going after everyone, even people with petty crime. If you did shoplifting, maybe way back in the day, and you're not a citizen yet, they are coming after like everyone. You know. So what can we do? What can we as immigrants do to even like maybe educate our Caucasian folks that this thing, man? You guys maybe you guys need to be allied with us here on this one, Miss B.
The people who say that raids are for hardcore criminals, I just question their intellects, their intelligence. I have to, because we forget that we have a very, very intelligent criminal investigative system here in this country. If we can go to other people's countries and catch dictators, I don't think we needed to do ICE raids to catch criminals here, right? Let's think about it. Our prison is sitting with 1 point something million people here in America are locked up.
Okay, 1.7 million people locked up here in
And we're
America.
talking about hardcore criminals in the undocumented community. Who are those people that are sitting in our prisons? Who are those 1.2 million people? Most of them are American citizens. So evidently we have a system and we have a process for capturing hardcore criminals. We don't need our immigration and ICE department to be out there looking for hardcore criminals when it comes to immigrants. That is not a problem. The system is not broken when it comes to finding what hardcore criminals have they found doing these raids. I really want to know. Has El Chapo or any of those? Yeah. Any of those people, anybody on their FBI most wanted list been captured since these raids been going on? If you guys can show me one person on your FBI most wanted list that's been captured due to ICE raids, then I will be like, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Well, I mean that's a great point, right? Maybe they have, right? Maybe they have caught some hardcore criminals, but who knows, right? Maybe we need to find data on those. If hardcore criminals are being swept up in this increase immigration enforcement or immigration crackdown. But as we try to wrap up here, this is the 1 hour show. As we try to wrap up here, folks, tonight we have been talking about immigration at the crossroad, right? If you noticed, 10 February, since Trump took office, there's been increased immigration enforcement across communities all over this country. Certain communities like Chicago, like Los Angeles, the Washington D.C., that have been more impacted than others. But so that is affecting, I think, all of us. It has huge economic impact. It has huge social impact, to Ms. B point earlier. And it has impact on all of us, whether you're being directly impacted and stuff like that. Right? It's happening. You hear it all the time. You hear it in the news. Even if you don't listen to news, if you have your social media feed, it might pop up in there. So that's what we have been discussing here tonight. And it doesn't seem to be slowing down, right? And now they are even involving National Guard troops. That's something we're going to talk about here, about because some of us, seeing troops. The last time I saw troops, with guns, Peterson was like after 9/11, right? These airports after, after 9/11. So it won't be so strange seeing federal troops or National Guard troops was armed. You know what I mean? It's like we are living in a time of war, like after 9/11.
Yeah, so especially in like the typical American city, nobody imagined that or ever thought they would see such thing like what happened in LA or Washington D.C. and so forth, and the threat to send troops into Chicago, because I think when they were first talking about the National Guard coming to Chicago, there was a veteran uh, who said that they are trained for war, not to like watch citizens. Basically,
Exactly.
that is not what the training they go through. They don't go through like, oh yeah, you're just gonna stand around the street corner to make sure that nobody's committing crime or something like that. That is not what their training entails. So with that, like with all these, nobody knows what's next or which city is next,
Yeah.
and it's like we've been saying, the administration, they don't really have a clear path of, okay, this is the agenda, this is what we aim to achieve, and this would be the end goal, to your point earlier. So to say, okay, we're going to implement this and this and this, and then this would be the outcome. Because right now, during the campaign, it's like, oh, hardcore criminals. Then once we started with the new administration, it's like, okay, even people undocumented, it doesn't matter if you're a criminal or not. And now it's like, yeah, you're undocumented or you're a resident, green card holder, it doesn't matter if you look certain way or you sound certain way. So they're always moving the goalposts, and it's like they don't have a clear agenda. And to your point, what is the outcome? What's the end goal? Like, what is there to achieve if you remove, let's say for the city of Chicago, 800,000 plus people, if you take them out of the one city, and there are major cities in the U.S. with just as much population of Latinos or Mexicans. So, like, what can the immigrant community at large do? Like, to your question earlier about like Chicago, so the public school system, they put in certain things into place that says, okay, we will not allow federal agents into a school facility unless they have a warrant that is signed by a judge. Now, yeah, that is something that the Chicago public school system, they stand by. They say, okay, unless ICE agent comes in and show us something that is signed by a judge, we're not going to allow them into the building. Now, what if they wait off, like if they wait on the road somewhere and say, oh, okay,
yeah,
somebody is over there, we're going to wait here for that person to come out. They also had like what they call like safe passage, where there are certain routes that they show people in the community, like, okay, this is where you should walk to go to school, to kind of guide the children so that they can give them that assurance, like, okay, we are not guaranteeing, but at least we are putting something into place that will alleviate that fear. And if at all you are not comfortable sending your child to school, they are, although they will be marked accent, but the teachers they said, well, we'll still make sure that their work gets to them or it gets done.
Yeah, I mean, those are, I think at this point, right? Obviously, on the community, especially immigrant community, I mean, resources need to be provided, right? Because I said there's fear in these communities. There's a lot going on. I don't personally don't know the end goal of this. I don't know where this going to end, but there's fear. There's fear everywhere. There's fear in, especially the Latino community. That when you hear stories how these mom and pop shops or stores are closing down, or folks they are losing business. Business is not booming like before, and just fear after fear after fear. But it is not something I know. I've always said, right. I think no matter what, I think we'll get through this. But as we get through this, we just need to we'll get through the Miss B. This too shall come to pass. Just whatever it is shall come to pass. I think the business
And then
community
we'll enter your golden age, right? I don't know
golden age, yeah.
what year was the golden age, or what era was that?
Well, I don't know. I would have voted for the golden age because I hear golden age. You know what I mean? For me, if you don't know by now, but when it comes to money and making money, I always go for that. So I know Miss B have problem with that, but I hear golden age and I hear it was all about money. So I say, hey, sign me up. Go ahead, Miss B. That's what I said. That's what I would have. I just sign me up.
You should have asked golden age for who?
Doesn't matter. Don't go there. Doesn't matter.
You should have asked that question.
Golden age.
I want to know a time when this country was golden age for all.
Golden age for all of us.
When was it ever a golden age for all?
Well, I just said golden age, so that's what I bought into.
You were okay voting for somebody else's well-being and somebody else's benefits, and didn't take the time to see how was it really going to directly benefit you and yours. How is it going to benefit your beautiful kids?
Well, I knew it was going to benefit. I knew it was going to benefit me. The tax code always benefit. Miss B, the tax code. When it comes to tax code, always benefit. I know you won't agree with that because you Democrats and progressives don't agree with tax code and all those stuff. But hey, Tax cut always benefit.
I agree for with tax cuts. If it's gonna
Yeah,
benefit the people
okay.
at the lower income, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I let it benefit them.
Okay, it's gonna benefit everyone. So
It
that's what I voted
benefits
for.
it benefits the wealthy, the
And
uber
again,
rich.
right, the political messaging there was, as I said earlier, because the political messaging was hardcore criminals. So that's what I thought. Hardcore criminals. Those
was
those hardcore
Venezuela.
criminals. You see that
Early days.
politician. That's the thing about politicians. They will tell you one thing and do something completely different. But now let
Republicans
my
are so tunnel vision. Republicans
mm,
are tunnel vision. They will find one thing, and that thing will be the one reason why they will vote for somebody. My last things I want to say is it's
mm.
2026, folks.
2025, not
So
2026. Yeah, don't
it's
rush it into 26.
2026,
It's
2025 is almost
2025. We don't rush it into
2026. Let me land. 2026 elections is coming, folks.
okay.
Um, vote. Don't vote for the party because the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, if you haven't learned anything, both sides have issues. Vote for candidates that you feel align with your agenda and align with your issues. Really don't let the Democratic Party tell you, say, oh, don't vote for somebody just because they're Republican and vice versa. Really research your candidates. Don't vote for somebody just because they're a Democrat. Research your candidates, see what they support and what they don't support.
Okay. Okay. Peterson, as we wrap this up, right? Especially like your city is being your beautiful city of Chicago. I mean, it's like beautiful city, nice skyscraper. You guys are one of the best skyscrapers in the world, in the country, in the world. But what is the message, to all our immigrant brothers and sisters listening to you tonight? Like what's the message you want to leave with folks tonight, man, regarding this whole because we have fear out there. We have fear out there. It is having a human impact. All joke aside.
Yeah, thank you both for a great discussion and everybody that tuning. I'll say thank you. Yeah, for me, I want to say yes, there is that real fear within the community, not just within like the city of Chicago, but the surrounding suburbs and everywhere. But what I want to say is that yes, there's fear, and you have all right to have that fear, but at the same time, we need to let our voices be heard. And those of us who are immigrants, we need to partner with our brothers and sisters that are merely impacted by these race and who have these fears that to come alongside with them and stand in solidarity to Abe's point earlier that yes, uh, this is going on and it's real, but it will come to pass, and it's something that we just have to hold on and wait it out.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I will echo that as well, right? I don't think we should sit on the sideline. And my last word tonight, I don't think we should sit on the sideline. And that's why we brought this up tonight on the Inner Circle podcast. I know we are talking about immigration here before, but it's just increasing. It is in the news every day. It's like raised everywhere. Now national guards are coming up. ICE agents showing up with masks, and so. But I don't think it's probably meant to create fear. Fear. If you are feeling fearful or afraid or whatever, right? That's legit. But we shouldn't sit on the sideline. Whether you're legal, immigrant, green card holder, citizen. I know, especially in a African immigrant community, we like to look the other way, right? I don't think we should, and that's why we have brought this topic here tonight to discuss on the Inner Circle Packet. I think we should raise awareness that this is going on. You never know who might get impacted. And Ms. B said earlier, our community right now is not directly impacted. It is mainly affecting the Latino community, but who knows? Who know where it's going to go? So we shouldn't sit on the sideline. We should all be involved and do something about it. And that's the kind of role we have played here tonight on the Inner Circle podcast. So thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. We'll be back here tomorrow for our business segment. What Miss B and I will talk economics and business, and maybe we'll argue tomorrow about
Those tax cuts. I want you to come tomorrow to talk about those tax policies.
okay, we'll talk about the big
Yes,
beautiful bill tomorrow. So
yes.
okay, folks. Okay, folks, you all have a good night, and see you guys here tomorrow talking about the big beautiful bill. Good night.
Yes.
Good night.